Hi, and welcome to the Recovery Center of Hamilton County's Virtual Wellness Symposium. My name is Fred Middendorf, and I'm an Interfaith Spiritual Director, and I'm going to be giving a presentation on spirituality and mental health. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I'll start with a little background about myself. I've been an Interfaith Spiritual Director for over 20 years, and in 2003, I was the co-founder of Sycamore Spirituality Center. It's a regional nonprofit serving Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, primarily through our 3-year spiritual direction and formation program, for which I have been a teacher and supervisor. And with the current COVID-19 pandemic, we're kind of on hiatus for the moment, but we're in the process of developing some virtual programming for people. I'm also a silent directed retreat leader. For about 10 years, I offered weekend retreat experiences for people and offered spiritual direction to them. I'm also a mental health advocate and serve on the steering committee for the Holistic Mental Health Network. And we are an organization that envisions Greater Cincinnati as a place where people suffering mental health distress, mild to severe, can find support to view it as holistically as possible, without stigma and with the expectation of full recovery. And we are an educational organization and offer support and networking and advocacy and outreach to other organizations. And our meetings are the second Thursday of every month at 7 o'clock. We go till 9. We usually have a presentation for the first hour and then some sharing time for the second hour. So if you want to know more, you can send an email at the address that's listed there. I'm also a spirituality teacher with the Recovery Center of Hamilton County. I'm currently teaching a class called Staying Spiritually Grounded in Tough Times on Friday mornings. So if you're interested in the classes that are being offered right now, you can visit the Recovery Center's website. I have really enjoyed working with a diverse group of people over the years, but particularly have been drawn to those who have been influenced or shaped by experiences of marginalization, including those who are in recovery from addictions and mental health challenges, the LGBTQ plus community, individuals from different cultures, people experiencing religious oppression, and also people who identify as spiritual but not religious. And by that I mean, you know, not everybody has a church or a faith tradition that they're a part of at this point in their life, but they are deeply spiritual people. So everybody needs a home. Many people do have a church or a community that they're a part of, but there are others who don't. And I really enjoy working with those people as well, because everybody needs some space to tend their spirit. I also have a passion for the socialization of men in our American culture. I've been part of a men's group for close to 25 years. We meet every other Saturday and talk with each other, and it's been a very life-giving experience. And another passion of mine is interfaith or interspiritual dialogue. I really believe that I believe in the universality of all the faith traditions, and everybody comes from different places and backgrounds and cultural experiences. And I really enjoy learning about those different cultures and different faith traditions. I've been going to the Parliament of the World's Religions for about the past 10 or 12 years. I've been to one in Melbourne and one in Salt Lake City, and the most recent one was in Toronto. So, a little bit about spiritual direction. It's a confidential companioning relationship of deep listening and contemplation. You know, I often ask people, when is the last time you felt truly and deeply listened to? Because that's what developing a spiritual direction relationship is all about. It's about paying attention to the movement of the spirit in your life. And by that I mean really tuning into yourself and listening more deeply to yourself, um, and exploring your authentic truths. Who are you, and what do you believe, and how is your spiritual life unfolding? And along with that are the discovery of new awarenesses and new invitations. You may be discerning a major decision in your life, like a job change or a relationship change. And so tuning into yourself and talking with someone about your life experiences can be very helpful and beneficial. So it's really about tending your spirit and discerning who you are becoming right here, right now, in the present time. And spiritual direction is a ministry, and it's different from other helping professions like psychotherapy or pastoral counseling or life coaching. All of those involve oftentimes helping someone fix a problem or address a life issue. And in spiritual direction, I'm there to tend someone's spiritual life, and I'm in service of that. So there isn't really a focus on fixing anything or, you know, resolving anything necessarily, although things can be resolved over time, but I'm really not the catalyst for that. I'm there to kind of walk with someone as they discover themselves in deeper ways. And it's not about giving advice or teaching any kind of theology or belief system, although one's theology can be very important in spiritual direction, but the person who is in direction is the one leading that, not me. So it's really about developing a relationship of trust based on acceptance, compassion, and non-judgment. And it can be really a life-giving experience for a lot of people. And at the heart of spiritual direction is contemplation. So what do I mean by that? Contemplation is really a process of slowing down and making time for yourself to take a long, loving look at the real, to reflect on the truth of your lived experiences. So what do I mean by that? Well, we live in a culture that is going 100 miles an hour, and it really takes a lot of effort to slow down and to take time and to really get in touch with what's going on with ourselves. So contemplation is a reflection process. And in spiritual direction, we really spend a lot of time looking at, you know, your life experiences and your spirituality and your faith, if you have a faith tradition or a religious background. And also prayer and spiritual practice, which I'm going to talk about quite a bit in a few minutes, are very important components of that. So contemplation involves noticing the life you are living, savoring your experiences, and responding with your authentic self. So that's at the heart of contemplation. So this is the way I kind of envision what the spiritual journey is all about. With slowing down comes spaciousness. With noticing comes awareness. With intention comes focus. With savoring comes understanding. With being comes life. And from these flow greater freedom, clarity, insight, serenity, and authenticity to live into and out of who you truly are. So it's by slowing down and really getting in touch with ourselves that we can gain greater spiritual grounding for ourselves, find a sense of inner peace, deal with our stresses, um, deal with our mental health, deal with challenges in our life, and really feel like we're living out of a more authentic place. So, how did spirituality and mental health fit together? Well, I think they're one and the same in many respects. But as human beings, we have many dimensions to who we are. We're physical, we're emotional, we're intellectual and psychological, as well as imaginative, creative, and spiritual. And so maintaining our mental health means tending our holistic selves, which includes our spirituality. So how do we do that? How do we tend our spirit? And what do I mean by that? So spiritual practice is a real key component to tending our spiritual lives. So what do I mean by that? A spiritual practice is really any activity that you do to nourish your spirit, find inner connection, grounding and peace, and grow as a spiritual being. And it's important to remember that you don't have to be, again, religious or be part of a church community or have a faith background in order to be a spiritual person or engage in spiritual practices to nurture your spirituality. You certainly, they go together. Obviously, if you were raised in a tradition and you are part of a church community, but you don't have to have that in order to live a fully alive spiritual life and engage in spiritual practices that nurture that life. So let's take a look at some examples of spiritual practices. Spiritual practices come in all shapes and sizes and can be just about anything. They don't fall into a box. And there really are no limits to what a spiritual practice can be. It really depends on the individual and what gives you life, what connects with you, what speaks to you. So some examples, oftentimes concentrating on the rhythm of your breathing and just being aware of your breath can be a spiritual practice that can have a real physiological effect on our bodies in terms of calming us down when we're stressed or we feel out of sorts. Quiet meditation or prayer. And meditation can come in many different forms. There's centering prayer. There are guided meditations. I'm going to walk you through an example in a few minutes. And prayer is another thing in spiritual practice that I think we often put in a box. And maybe we learned certain prayers in when we were growing up, and that's what we would kind of go back to. But prayer can be so many different things. It doesn't have to be something that's written in a hymnal or in a theology book. It can be what comes out of you creatively as an offering, as a spiritual offering. So prayer can be taking a walk in the woods or listening to music, or even just taking a bath and feeling the water over your body. I mean, it's really the intentionality that you bring that makes something prayerful. Other forms of spiritual practice are things like yoga or running or knitting. Anything that really connects you to yourself in deeper ways. And the cosmos is another place of spiritual practice and connection for people. So going out at night and gazing at the stars can be a very calming and connecting experience for people. So I want this to be interactive as well. And so I want to take a walk with you, take a spiritual walk with you, and try a spiritual practice together. So one of the most common meditations comes from the Buddhist tradition, and that is the loving kindness meditation. And there are different forms of this, and I'm going to be sharing an example from Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. And you kind of start off, first of all, focusing on yourself. And there's a series of phrases that take you deeper through that process. And then after but you're bringing a sense of loving kindness to yourself. And then in the second part of the meditation, you bring that to another person. And the way this often is set up or is often the sequence is that you start off with someone who you really like or love, or who you admire, or who you is very important to you. And you go through the loving kindness meditation for that person. And then you kind of think of somebody who might be a more difficult person in your life. And you go through the same series of phrases with them in mind as you hold them in your heart. And that can be a difficult process, but we're going to give it a try. And then the last part of this is to open the field even further and to look at the whole world and all beings in it, all human beings, all animals, all living creatures. So it's like a ripple in a pond. You start with yourself, and then you go out to people who you're close to, both people who you feel positive about and also negative, maybe some negativity towards, and then you extend that out to all of creation, to all beings. So I want to encourage you just to kind of get comfortable right now and close your eyes and just kind of concentrate on your breath. Take a few deep breaths and feel the air going through your body. Feel the air filling your lungs. And then as you exhale, feel the breath exiting. And just take several deep breaths to slow yourself down and to prepare yourself for this meditation that we're going to go through. And the other thing to keep in mind is that you don't have to do this perfectly. So whatever this is going to be for you, just let it be and see where it takes you. So we're going to start with you. May I be peaceful, happy, and light in body and in mind. May I be safe and free from accidents. May I be free from anger, unwholesome states of mind, fear, and worries. May I know how to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and love. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in myself. May I learn how to nourish myself with joy each day. May I be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May I not fall into the state of indifference or be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. So just hold yourself in that place of loving kindness, filling yourself with peace and happiness and light. Now imagine somebody who you love, who you are very close with, or who you find who's a dear person to you, and bring them into your heart and offer this loving kindness to them. May you be peaceful, happy, and light in body and mind. May you be safe and free from accidents. May you be free from anger, unwholesome states of mind, fear, and worries. May you know how to look at yourself with the eyes of understanding and love. May you be able to recognize and teach the seeds of joy and happiness in yourself. May you learn how to nourish yourself with joy each day. May you be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May you not fall into the state of indifference or be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. So again, hold this person in a place of peace and happiness and light. Now, this next part may be a little challenging, so just let it be what it's going to be. But think of a person who may cause you some difficulty, someone who you might have conflict with, and bring them into your heart and offer this loving kindness energy to them. May you be peaceful, happy, and light in body and mind. May you be safe and free from accidents. May you be free from anger, unwholesome states of mind, fear, and worries. May you know how to look at yourself with the eyes of understanding and love. May you be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in yourself. May you learn how to nourish yourself with joy each day. May you be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May you not fall into the state of indifference or be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. So again, hold this person in a place of peace and happiness and light. And now the last part of this meditation is about creation. It's about all beings, all of humanity, all of nature, all living things, and everything in the cosmos. May all beings be peaceful, happy, and light in body and mind. May all beings be safe and free from accidents. May all beings be free from anger, unwholesome states of mind, fear, and worries. May all beings know how to look at themselves with the eyes of understanding and love. May all beings be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in themselves. May all beings learn how to nourish themselves with joy each day. May all beings be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May all beings not fall into the state of indifference or caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. So again, bring all beings into a place of peace and happiness and light. And just take a few more deep breaths. Feel the air filling your lungs and leaving your lungs. And notice what you're experiencing right now, right here in the moment. How has this loving kindness meditation touched your heart? And then I invite you to open your eyes and rejoin me. So that's an example of a spiritual practice. And meditation with your own words and your own. So I invite you to do that. So that kind of brings us to the end of our presentation. I want to thank you for joining me on this journey for the Virtual Wellness Symposium. And if you'd like to know more about spiritual direction or contemplative practices, feel free to get in touch with me. My contact information is there on the screen. To try out one of the spirituality classes that I offer, I welcome you to do that as well. And you can find the schedule on the Recovery Center's webpage. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, but before I do, I'll come back and just want to wish each and every one of you a very peaceful and loving journey, especially during these challenging times that we're living in. So I encourage everybody to bring patience and love and compassion to yourself. Okay, thanks for joining me and take good care.